We have now received the community transmission finally for what is now being called the BB update, and this is coming on February 3rd. So that is a Monday release, and honestly I don't think they could have done a much better job than that. They said February and it's the first Monday in February, so even though a slight delay with this update not coming in January, they've got it out as soon as possible, and I do appreciate that. There's a lot to go through here today, guys. Leave a like if you do find the video informative and subscribe, and let's get right into it and I'll share my thoughts as we go along. So the transmission begins basically talking about what's going to be coming at the end of February, and I think this is quite interesting because it does confirm original trilogy capital Supremacy, which there's a bit of a difference there and I'll tell you that in a second, but original trilogy capital Supremacy and co-op coming at the end of February. However, it won't be called Capital Supremacy anymore, and this is due to how it's going to work in the original trilogy. This is mainly because the original trilogy Capital Supremacy won't have any Star Destroyers or Rebel frigates, anything like that. So no capital ship phase. And at first I was reading this and thinking, well, that's not too great, but my opinion does change on that. But I was thinking that isn't too great because I did expect, like many, that capital supremacy would be arriving for the original trilogy era. I expected it around March, April. This is a lot earlier than that. And I do have to respect it because they go on to explain a bit more as to why they've done this. And that is mainly because the first two, I suppose, planets, one of them not really a planet, but the first two locations actually coming are Death Star 2 and Scarif, which is returning from Battlefront 2015. We don't know which exact map just yet, but as they discuss in the transmission, it would be a bit weird going from the Death Star to a capital ship. And the same with Scarif, to be fair to them. You gotta get past the shield gate, everything like that. And what made the Battle of Scarif really unique in terms of Star Wars battles was the fact that everyone down on the surface was essentially trapped down there. There was no way out. So even if you're on the winning team in Capital Supremacy or Supremacy now in that OT era, your character really isn't going to make it back up onto any of these capital ships, and I think that's very clever what they've done here. I am expecting those ground maps to be a lot bigger, especially to make up for no capital ships, but I respect this quite a bit. Now moving on to BB-8 and BB-9E. This content from this point on in the video is coming February 3rd, as I've said. If there's one thing BB-8 can do, it's move fast. We've seen him rolling at great speed through multiple environments in the films, and he'll act the same way in Star Wars Battlefront 2. He will feel fast, be able to move in and out of harm's way at speed, while also being able to capture a command post at a quicker rate than others. Along with his ability to capture command posts, BB-8 comes with another advantage. His rolling charge ability. Activate it and BB-8 will roll much faster than normal. Head first, when he bumps into an enemy, he extends his head, damaging and pushing them back. And if BB-8 finds himself in a position he can't zip out of, he can use his shock prod on enemies in front of him, which deals electrical damage to them over time. Always want to have a few tricks ready to go. BB-8 can also call upon his resistance backing ability, which unveils enemies around him. Not only will they be revealed, they will also be more vulnerable to attacks, taking slightly increased damage. Any enemies revealed by resistance backing will also have their radar corrupted. And rounding off BB-8's abilities, we have the cable spin, where BB-8 will be able to rotate, extending 3 tow cables, hitting all enemies around him and causing high damage, which sounds insane, but there's more. You may or may not have heard, BB-8 and BB-9E are going to have some passive abilities as well. And I think these passive abilities are actually really smart. The first one here is BB-8 will count as 2 units when capturing a command post, and activating an objective device is much faster. And I really like the second part of that about activating an objective device, because if you think about it in the movies, the droids are always left to these control panels where they've got to do their thing, which they can do much faster than the actual living characters who aren't droids, and I think that is a really nice touch. So that's the technical support passive ability. He's also got swift reaction, where BB-8 increases the cooldown speed of nearby friendly characters' abilities, and finally health on kill. You know how it is with that, when you kill someone you get health back. BB-8 BB-8 is also faster than most and can traverse the battlefront at great speeds, with his quick dodge to the side, a quick impulse jump that's slightly higher than the blaster heroes, and speed similar to a force user in terms of sprinting speed. He's also got a flashlight ability which he can turn on and off, that's pretty cool. And then judging by his abilities, judging by the passive abilities as well, there is a look at BB-8's star card lineup. It's what you'd expect, and I don't feel I need to go into too much detail with it, but it's looking roundabout, like I said, what you'd really expect with any hero entering into this game. BB-8's also got victory poses and he's got emotes, and we've got thumbs up, but apart from that, we're probably going to have to see these in action to see what they really look like, but we've also got excited twist and angry beeps. But now moving on to the hero I'm personally most excited for, BB-9E. Similar to BB-8, BB-9E will have a primary weapon that is centered around his shock prod, which stuns enemies periodically and deals damage over time. BB-9E has a number of abilities based on utility, the first of which is smokescreen. Upon activation, dense smoke will be emitted from BB-9E through the grids of his body, revealing enemies around him for the duration of the active time. His second utility-based ability is Charge Up, which emits a pulse that places his shock prod and all nearby friendly blasters into a super success mode. This will cause friendly units to no longer generate heat on their blasters and will also reduce their ability recharge time and the third ability. This is a shock spin. When used, BB-9E will spin and release an electric pulse that pushes and damages enemies that are nearby. Any enemies that are further away will have their blasters overheated. BB-9E's got some passive abilities too. BB-9E will count as 2 units when capturing command posts and activating an objective device is much faster, just like BB-8. He's also got back to support, which is a little different. BB-9E periodically regenerates the main health of friendly characters around him. So back to is back. It's not quite the back to bomb, but it is back. And then he finally has health on kill. Moving on to his movement type a bit, he's got the quick dodge once again, a quick impulse jump that is slightly higher than the blaster heroes, and the speed is similar to a force user in terms of the sprinting speed, and the flashlight once again is there for BB-9E just as it is for BB-8. The star cards are present, the victory poses are present, and his emotes will be Suspicious, Alarm, which his alarm noise is insane. I really love that in The Lost Jedi. Backfire and Spiral are the final 2. Now Age of Resistance is obviously coming to Capital Supremacy, the Resistance MC-85 and the Resurgent Class Star Destroyer for the First Order. Like I've said many times, they're coming to the game, they're the capital ships, and aspects of both of these ships are available in the campaign, both of which I've made videos on, so I would definitely check them out if you haven't already. There'll be 3 planets available, these being the new map Agen Kloss, Jakku, and Takodana. We have no news on Starkiller or Crate being introduced to this mode, and at this point I would highly doubt it, considering they're moving on to the OT era with Supremacy at the end of February. You'll also be able to choose when you go into Capital Supremacy if you would like to play the Age of Resistance or the Clone Wars, which I think is really cool, and I would think when the OT arrives as well, you'll have a selection in case you want to stick to that Clone Wars or in case you're more of a sequel fan and want to enter that era. Auto players now as well will be able to spawn in as droidekas, which I think is pretty cool, and it proves they're getting that bit further with their mechanics now. EA and DICE are really doing well actually with the auto players, much better than they've done in the past, and droidekas will now be a threat as well. And obviously at the end there's a lot of bug fixes. I never feel it's too important to go into all of these because things are always changing, and most of the time things don't impact the gameplay too much, but the big one is that Vader can block and choke now, which, as I said in my last video, I didn't realise people were so invested in this feature until now, but Vader can obviously do that, which I hope people are happy about. Some big changes for Palpatine, because he has received a nerf, is that the slow movement on Dark Aura has gone, which is a big one, a really big one. I was very surprised when I read that. Reduced single hand damage from 15 to 14, reduced double hand damage from 32 to 28, reduced the chain lightning radius from 26.25 meters to 18 meters, and then if you move on to Anakin, the pressure star card reduced values have been changed from 10, 20, 30, 40 to 10, 15, 20, 25. Reduced the passionate strike first strike damage on troopers and reinforcements from 130 to 70. Reduced the passionate strike damage on troopers and reinforcements from 250 to 100. 180. Reduce the base damage of heroic impact to troopers and reinforcements from 120 to 100. And the massive strike star card now for Anakin will mean that Anakin deals more damage with his lightsaber, but his stamina costs are increased. And that is just about everything that I feel is worth covering. The full patch notes will be linked in the description as always. I don't want to go into every single bug like I said, because I just feel a lot of them aren't worth covering and will probably be changed again in the next update. But that is how things are going. I'm very excited for Original Trilogy, Capital Supremacy, or Supremacy just on its own as it's being called now. But I'm even more excited to playing as BB9E. I've always thought ever since I saw him in Last Jedi that he was just really cool. He's not Rise of Skywalker content, but I'm happy to see him here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like and subscribe as always if you enjoyed, and I shall see you all next time.